بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. السلام عليكم once again and welcome to another topic in advanced Nahu. So today inshallah we will begin another topic called badal. Okay, so today we're looking at al-badal. Now we've covered so much so far. I think we're remaining with badal and maybe two more topics that I want to cover in this section, and we'll be done with advanced Nahu inshallah. Next week we should be done by with advanced Nahu inshallah. See how it goes. All right. So what is badal? Badal basically means to exchange or to replace or substitute. That's the whole meaning of badal. Okay. And it is one of the four tawabi'. There are things called at-tawabi'. So taba, like tabi'a yatba'u, فهو تابع, to follow. Okay. Tabi' is a follower. So tawabi' is the plural of that tabi'. Okay. So it is one of the four followers. What do we mean by one of the four followers? There are certain categories of, well, the tawabi', what we call the tawabi', where they basically follow something else. So you have the tabi', the follower, and the matbu'a, the thing that is being followed. Okay, so you have that kind of a connection that is happening. The follower and a thing that is being followed. Yeah, so the followed and the follower. That's basically the whole concept of a tabi' wal matbu'. And normally they follow, they copy the rulings. Okay, so they copy the rulings of the matbu', of the thing that is being followed. And these four things are sifa. We covered sifa long ago when we were talking about mawsuf sifa. So, and we mentioned that, you know, sifa, they match in four properties. Mawsuf sifa, they match in four properties. That's what we mean by tawabi', they follow. So they follow each other. Okay, so that's the first one, sifa. The other name for sifa, you will see it in tafsir books and grammatical books, is na'at. So a sifa is either called sifa or it's called na'at. So it's the same thing, basically. It's just a description. That's the first one. We already covered that. So today we are looking at badal, which is the second one. We're going to look at badal. And then the third one is atuf. And we know the famous harf atuf. Wow. We know fa is harf atuf and so on and so forth. So we'll take a look at atuf next week. And then finally, we have something called tawkeed or ta'keed. Both are correct. So, and these four things, these are called the followers, the tawabi'. So what is badal? Badal basically is a word or a fragment that follows another word or a fragment in order to give more clarification to the word or add emphasis. So it follows it in order to give more clarification or to add emphasis. That is a badal. And we'll get into more details into it right now, so we can understand what exactly is badal. We already know what a badal is. So, but just the idea is that the badal structure has two parts. There are two parts to a badal structure. So there's the badal itself, the replacer, and then the mubdal minhu. Mubdal minhu, the replaced, the thing being replaced, or the thing being substituted, or the thing being exchanged with. So a badal is the replacer, the substituter, the exchanger, and the mubdal minhu is the thing being substituted. Okay. For example, let's take some examples in English. When I say, I met your brother Ahmed. Okay. Say you only have one brother and his name is Ahmed. And I say, I met your brother Ahmed. Now, if I just said, I met your brother, you would understand what I'm saying, because you only have one brother called Ahmed. If I said, I met your brother, you know I'm talking about Ahmed. If I said, I met Ahmed, you know I'm talking about your brother. But the fact that I said, I met your brother, then I say Ahmed. So you can see Ahmed is a badal because it can replace your brother. Okay, so it is the replacer. And the thing being replaced is your brother. Okay, so that's one kind of a badal. Or if I say, I saw Mariam's rabbit, Peter. Okay, I saw Mariam's rabbit, Peter. The same thing. Maybe you know that Mariam's rabbit is called Peter. But if I substitute it, does it mean that if I say I saw Peter, does it mean that I'm talking about Mariam's rabbit. It could be any Peter, right? I could be talking about any Peter. So you see, Peter here is not just adding emphasis, it's adding more clarification. Peter is adding like more information about Mariam's rabbit. I saw Mariam's rabbit whose name is Peter. So it's more information. But if I just substitute it and say, I saw Peter, you'll be thinking maybe, maybe there's a guy at work called Peter, or maybe, there's somebody else called Peter. How many Peters in the world, So it could be anyone. So there's more information being added here. Or for example, if I said, you ate my food, my sandwich. I'm not saying you ate all my food. I'm just saying maybe I had an apple, maybe I had a can of juice, maybe I had something else, and I had a sandwich. And I came back and you had eaten my sandwich. So instead of me saying you ate my sandwich, I say you ate my food, my sandwich. Yeah. So I'm specifying exactly what part of my food you ate. Okay. Or if I said, he gave a speech about peace. Now, peace is very ambiguous. It's very broad. There's so much that we can discuss about peace. Peace of mind, peace of the body, peace, I don't know, in the world. It could be peace about anything, right? But then I specify it. I give more clarification and say, living together in cohesion. Then I understand, oh, so the topic, the discussion was mainly about living together in cohesion. So I am giving more clarification about peace, okay? So those are some of the examples of badal in English, just to give you a rough idea of what we are going to discuss about, okay? Now, one important thing is that the badal and the mubdal minhu don't have to match in type. Remember we said there are 4 properties to an ism, status, gender, number, and type. These others can match, but type, it doesn't have to match. So you can have mubdal minhu, the thing being replaced, it can be proper, and the badal itself, it's common. That can happen. For example, I've given you an example here. تناولت الطعام. I had some food. طعاما لذيذا. Delicious food. So you see the first part, it has الطعام, it's proper. But the badal itself, it's common. طعاما لذيذا. So that can happen. Do not be so consumed with the fact that you need to match all 4 properties. It doesn't have to match in type. This is very important. Maybe I should underline this and make it bold. Okay. Then the other thing is a badal cannot be a pronoun. You cannot have a badal as a pronoun. Remember, the whole point of a badal is if you're able to replace, or if it gives you more information about what is being replaced. That's the whole point of a badal. Okay, so for example, if you said ذهبنا, we went, نحن إلى البيت, we went, us, talking about us, to the house. So if I said something like that, this, I cannot say that نحن is a badal of the نحن inside ذهبنا. I cannot say that. Why? Because this is a form of tawkid, and we shall see this when we talk about tawkid. And also, just when you take the basic test of badal, if you try and replace this, can you say ذهبنا إلى البيت? You can say, yeah, ذهبنا إلى البيت, we went to the house. But can you say نحن إلى البيت? It's a totally different meaning. We are in the house. It doesn't give the same meaning. So you can see this is not a badal because the meaning has completely changed. Okay, so just be careful of that. If you see a pronoun, that's not a badal. Now, the other thing about badal is that it can replace an ism, it can replace a verb, or even an entire sentence. Yeah, so it can just replace one single ism. Like, for example, استقبلت زيدا. I met Zaid. أخاك, your brother. So Zaid is being replaced or substituted with أخاك. استقبلت أخاك. استقبلت زيدا. It's the same thing, because maybe your brother, you have only one brother and his name is Zaid. Okay, so that's just replacing ism with an ism. Or you can replace, like we said, a verb, yeah, an action. جلس المحدث ثم أخبرنا قال. The muhaddith, the narrator, sat down, then ثم أخبرنا, he told us. So he told us, قال, he said. I'm basically repeating the same thing. He told us and he said is basically the same thing, isn't it? So like, you know, when we're narrating a story and we're like, okay, so he sat down and he started telling us, he said. So you can see I'm replacing two verbs. He told us, he said. So those are two verbs, and you can be able to see the connection there, and that becomes badal. So qala will be the badal of akhbarna. Okay. And then you can even replace an entire sentence. Yeah. So for example, جاءوا بكثير من الأشياء. They brought a lot of things. They brought a lot of things. I can replace that entire sentence by actually listing down what they brought. So I say جاءوا بالطعام والشراب والألعاب والكتب والأقلام. They brought food and drinks and games and books and pens. So you can see the verb is being repeated. This is a clue that tells you that the whole sentence is actually a badal of this. I can actually replace these two things, and it will basically mean the same things, because all this qualifies as a lot of things. I listed a lot of things. So you can see that we can actually do a badal of an entire sentence. Right? Any questions so far? Okay. Great. Remember, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Inshallah. Then you have this thing that can happen where you can have a harf of jar coming with a badal al-ba'd. We will talk about what a badal al-ba'd shortly, but just for your information here, actually I should have moved this point. Let me just rearrange these notes a little bit, because I think that shouldn't be there. I should have been here. There. That's better. So we'll come to that point when we come to that point. Okay. Oops. Now, the other thing you need to know is that, remember when we did ismul ishara and musharun ilayh? We said that an ismul ishara has to come with al. Remember that part? Long ago, we said pointer plus al gives you ismul ishara and musharun ilayh, but pointer without al gives you a jumla ismiya. Now, I want to just add to that and maybe clarify a few things why that is the case. Remember, ismul ishara is an ism. And when you have an ism that is in rafa' status at the beginning of a sentence, that's your mubtada. That's what we learned about, right? That becomes your mubtada. And that is why when we were talking about pointer without al gives you mubtada khabar. So dhalika, in this second example, we'll do the second one first. In this second example, becomes our mubtada. Then the invisible is, and the nakira word, the word without al, becomes our khabar. Simple jumla ismiya. That's how you would do the i'rab. That's how you would look at the grammatical labeling. So dhalika is your mubtada because it's the first rafa in the sentence and it's an ism. So this is a jumla ismiya. Then you have invisible is in between. And then you have khabar, which is your nakira. Now what happens when you have al on it? So still dhalika, because it's the first rafa of the sentence, this is still our mubtada. But what do I do with al-kitab? Now, there's nothing, I know we said this is the musharun ilayh, and then we look at this as the same thing, and we say this is, the whole thing is a mubtada. That's what we did. But now I want to give you a little bit of extra clarification or extra information. While that is true, basically what a musharun ilayhi means is the thing being pointed. So the thing being pointed at could be a noun, could be something else. You can point at anything. So in this case, we are pointing to something that is proper. And that means that this is the badal of dhalika. We cannot say that this is the khabar, because most of the time, we know 90%, 99.9%, the khabar is supposed to be nakira. It doesn't have al. So when you have ismul ishara here, followed by al, then the word after it, which we are calling the musharun ilayh, would actually be considered the badal of dhalika. Now let's try the badal test. Let's see if it actually is a badal. If I say dhalika jamilun, that is beautiful. Oh, maybe I'm pointing at a book. So I'm pointing at a book and I'm saying that is beautiful. And then I say the book is beautiful. So you can see the badal test actually works. If I say that is beautiful or the book is beautiful, I'm actually talking about the same thing. So it actually is a badal when it's an ismul ishara with al on it. Okay, so that's something to just watch out for. This is how we do the i'rab of ismul ishara and musharun ilayh. If there's an al on it, it's going to be a badal. If there's no al on it, it's going to be a khabar. I hope that is clear. So you will actually see this. Don't be shocked. Don't be like, no, that's a musharun ilayh. So together they're the mubtada. No, we are learning. We are adding to what we know already. We are building. We had the foundation. Now we're putting walls and we're building, and we soon put a roof, and inshallah we'll be done. Okay. Okay. So that's the introduction. Now we're going to go into details about the different kinds of badal. There are 4 different kinds of badal. Okay. 4 different kinds of badal. The first one is called badal al-kull, or badal al-kull min al-kull, or the other name is actually al-badal al-mutabiq. Al-badal al-mutabiq, which is the total replacement. Like it replaces wholly. You can actually say. You can also call it whole replacement of the whole. Yeah, it replaces the whole thing. So the 2 things are pretty much synonymous. You can say that, like when we did ismul ishara, when I say that book is beautiful, I can say that book. I can say that is beautiful, or I can say the book is beautiful. So it's pretty much synonymous. That is badal al-kull. Okay, you can actually replace one for the other completely. For example, if I say marartu bi akhika Zaydin, you only have one brother in this case. This does not apply when you have like 19 brothers and one of them is called Zayd. This can only happen when you have one brother called Zayd. Okay, and then I say marartu bi akhika Zayd. So I can actually replace Zayd with akhika. I can say marartu bi Zaydin. And when I say marartu bi Zaydin, you know I'm talking about your brother. There's no other person that I'm talking about. Or if I say marartu bi akhika, you know I'm talking about Zayd. I'm not talking about Uthman or Mustafa or somebody else. No, I'm talking about Zayd, because you only have one brother. So I can actually replace this word for this word, because there's no other possibility, right? Or if I say istaqbaltu mudira bayina al-ustadha Nu'man al-Khan, I met the director of Bayina. If I say I met the director of Bayina, all of you know who I'm talking about. Like I can, or if I say istaqbaltu al-ustadha Nu'man al-Khan, all of you know who I'm talking about. Yeah, the director of Bayina. So I can do a total replacement here with the 2. That is what we call badal al-kull or badal al-mutabiq. It's important to know these names because these are the names you're going to see in most of these books. So I'm giving you these names not because you can just for the sake of it, but because these are names you're going to come across so that you're familiar. Or when you see badal al-mutabiq, you don't be like, which kind of badal is this? We didn't learn about this, but no, it's the same. Badal al-kull is the same as badal al-mutabiq. That's the first kind of badal. The second kind of badal is al-badal al-ba'd. Now this is the partial replacement. You have something that is a whole and you're replacing a part of it, a fraction of it, a portion of it, not the whole thing, just a juz, a part of it. Okay, comes with a'id. Now I know we've talked about a'id for a long time and it keeps coming back, by the way. So a'id is a very common thing you have to get used to. So it comes with a pronoun that connects back to the mubdal minhu. So there's always a pronoun that is going to connect back. Let's look at some examples. If I say akaltul khubza, I ate bread, nisfahu, half of it. I didn't eat the entire bread, I just ate half of it. Akaltul khubza, I ate the bread, half of it. Nisfahu. So nisfahu, this will be badal al-ba'd of al-khubz, which is the mubdal minhu, the thing being replaced or the thing being substituted. Okay? ذهب الطلاب أكثرهم إلى المسجد. ذهب الطلاب, the students, most of them, not all of them, but most of them went to the mosque. Okay, So I'm not like, I'm taking some bit of it. And you can see the pronoun that comes back. I colored it blue. So you can see in the first one, we have who, which goes back to al-khubz. And here we have hum, which goes back to at-tulab, because at-tulab is a broken plural. Is hum, is a human broken plural. Yeah, so that's why we're using hum and not ha. Okay, so that goes back there. So you can see the pronoun keeps coming back. Or if I say جاء الطلاب من فاز منهم. من فاز منهم. Now you're probably wondering, okay, so you have the whom going back to الطلاب. Okay, and of course man is an isim mawsul. We did this a while back. Isim mawsul and silatul mawsul, and this whom actually goes back to man, and then this man, the pronoun inside man, is the one that goes in back to at-tulab. That's kind of like technically what happened. Yeah, so who came? The students who passed, the student who passed amongst them came. Not all the students in the class, but only those who passed, who excelled amongst them came. I hope that's clear. Okay, so it just basically signifies a portion. So the other thing we're saying about badal al-ba'd is that a harf of jar can come with it. So for example, if I said قلت للطلاب, I said to the students. للكسالى منهم, only to those. So I didn't say to all the students, again, not all the students, but only to the lazy ones amongst them. You can see the whom going back to at-tullab. Okay, I said to the students, to the lazy ones amongst them, أن يجتهدوا, that they work hard. So you can come with a lam or a harf of jar, and yeah, so especially with those fi'als that are متعدي بحرف, it can come like that. So that's important to know, so that when you just see it, you don't be like, what's going on here? Yeah, it can happen.
Just one clarification. The lam before the tulab is the mutaddi biharf, right?
Yes.
Qultu lil tulab, right?
You
Or
can
is
look at
it
it that way.
the harf of jar?
So متعدي بحرف, basically تعدية بحرف only comes with harf of jar. It can never come with any other kind of harf. It's always going to be one of the huruf jar, one of them. Okay, so there are two ways you can look at it, I think. So you can either say that this is maybe متعدي بحرف للطلاب. You can look at it that way. You can say this is jar majrur متعلق بالفعل.
Okay, I'm unclear. This particular point that a harf of jar can come with badal al-ba'd. Is the harf of jar with tulabi or is it with this one? Yes.
So you see,
Isali.
so because the mubdal minhu came with a lam, so قلت للطلاب, it came with a lam, right? And I want to replace للطلاب, so I have to bring back the lam also in the badal, because it came before, so I'm bringing it back again. So قلت للطلاب, I can also say للكسالى منهم, to the lazy ones amongst them. Yeah, I'm just repeating it because it came before. So it's just copying. Yeah. Okay, hope that's clear. Then we have the third kind of badal, and this is al-badal al-ishtimal. Now this is a specific replacement. You're not replacing the whole thing, and you're not replacing a portion of it. It's a different kind of replacement because you're replacing something specific about something. And it also comes with a aid. It also comes with a pronoun that goes back to the mubdal minhu, just like badal al-ba'd that we talked about. Okay. Now this one talks about a specific aspect, a specific character of the mubdal minhu. For example, أعجبني الفتى أدبه. If I said أعجبني الفتى, the boy impressed me. In what sense did he impress me? His manners. أدبه. So I'm talking about a character of the boy, not the entire boy, not everything that makes up the boy, just a specific character. of him. Okay, just a particular character that I noticed about him that impressed me. So I was impressed by his manners, the boy's manners. Okay, so you can see it gives more clarification in this case. Or if I said أغلقنا الدكان, we closed the shop. بابه, specifically its doors, its door. We didn't like close and pack up and consider ourselves bankrupt and move to another town. No, we just close the shop. What I mean is we close the doors, specifically the doors, or the door in this case, bab, because it's singular. Okay, now probably you're wondering, okay, so what's the difference between badal al-ba'd and badal al-ishtimal? It sounds pretty similar because you're talking about a portion of this and this one is also a part of that. Isn't it the same thing? Actually, no. The difference is because badal al-ba'd, it actually deals with fractions or parts. If you can be able to divide that thing into portions and you're talking about a specific portion, then that is badal al-ba'd. But if you cannot be able to divide this concept, you're talking about an abstract idea or a concept or a characteristic of this thing that you cannot take a boy and divide him into parts and say, okay, now this is the portion that makes his character, this is the portion that makes his, I don't know, intelligence, this is the, no, you can't do that. So that cannot be badal al-ba'd. So when you're talking about portions and fractions, if you cut up that thing and you actually have fractions of it, then that is badal al-ba'd. Now you're talking about portions and fractions, a part of the whole. Yeah, like you remember that pie chart thingy, and then you know, like you're talking about this specific part. That would be badal al-ba'd. Like this pizza portion over here from the whole. Like I ate a sixth of the pizza. That would be badal al-ba'd. Okay, but badal al-ishtimal, it's an abstract idea. You cannot divide something and pull out a characteristic of it. So that would be the difference between the two. So you just watch out. Is it a fraction of the mubdal minhu, or is it an abstract idea? Yeah, I hope that's clear. Okay, those are the main ones. Those three are the main ones. And because this last one does not happen in the Quran, and I'm not going to focus too much on it, I'm just going to graze through it so that you can actually be familiar with it. But because it doesn't happen in the Quran, I don't want to spend so much time with it. And also for the reason that it's pretty much similar and it's hard to tell the difference between them because it's kind of like the same thing. So I'm just telling you for the sake of information and knowledge. So the last category is called al-badal al-mubayin. Okay. Now this is the contradictory replacement. So you're contradicting yourself from what you said before. Now remember, the first ones, you're either giving emphasis or you're adding more clarification to the statement that came before. But with this one, you're actually contradicting yourself. Like you said something before, and now you're coming up and saying something that is totally contradictory, like it's totally different. Okay, so that's badal al-mubayin, correcting yourself in the narrative of in a way. So there are actually three. So the first one is badal al-ghalat, and you can tell from the name is that you make a mistake. You make a mistake. So this badal al-ghalat is you're correcting a mistake of the tongue. So you said something, you mean to say something in your mind, but you say something else with your tongue. Like, you know, sometimes your brain thinks too fast for your tongue, or I don't know if it's your tongue that thinks too fast for your brain, and you just blurt out something that you didn't actually mean. You meant something else, but your tongue says something else. So that is called badal al-ghalat. And an example of that, if maybe a sheikh is giving a khutbah and he says, Dhun Nurain Umar. And then he remembers, no, it's not Umar, it's Uthman. Yeah, Dhun Nurain is called Dhun Nurain because he married the two daughters of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that is Uthman, not Umar. So because he's been talking about Umar, so Umar is just right at the tongue, and he blats out Umar. Then immediately he corrects himself. He's like, no, Uthman. So that would be a badal al-ghalat. It's a mistake of the tongue. You're correcting a mistake of the tongue, even though your mind knew the correct answer. Okay, that's the first category. The second category is badal al-nisyan. Now this is correcting a mistake of the mind. You didn't know, okay? Or maybe if you did know, you knew it a while ago and you forgot about it. So you said something. And after you said it, you remembered the correct thing. So in your mind, you thought you said the right thing, but then you remembered that you said the wrong thing, so you corrected yourself. So for example, سلمت على أبيك. In your mind, you thought it was your father, and then you remember, no, it was actually your brother, أخيك. So سلمت على أبيك أخيك. That's kind of like how a badal and nisyan. And you can see badal and nisyan and badal al-ghalat is pretty much, it's very close, yeah? Like this mistake of the tongue, mistake of the mind. Sometimes it's more or less the same thing, really. So anyway, I think what you're picking up is that basically badal al-mubayyan is about correcting a narrative, correcting a mistake. That's the whole point that you need to remember about this. Then, of course, the last category is called badal al-idrab. And the whole concept of al-idrab is to negate what came before and to affirm what comes after. That's what we mean by al-idrab. So you're negating something that you said before and you're affirming something that you said after. You're correcting the narrative. So you say something, then you realize you didn't mean that. Okay? So for example, if I say صليت في المسجد المغرب, then I realized it wasn't Maghrib, it was Isha. Then I say al-Isha. So it's correct that I did pray Maghrib. I did pray Maghrib. But I didn't pray Maghrib at the mosque. The prayer that I prayed at the mosque was actually al-Isha. So I'm actually correcting a narrative here. I'm saying, no, it wasn't actually Maghrib, it was al-Isha. Okay? It's not that I did not pray. The fact that the prayer that I prayed in the mosque is actually Maghrib, is actually Isha, not what I had said before Maghrib. So yeah, again, very, very easy, very, very close to each other. What you just need to remember is that this type of badal does not happen in the Quran for obvious reasons, because Allah does not make mistakes. Allah does not need to correct mistakes that He makes, which He doesn't make. We know He doesn't make any mistakes. He is perfect. So this cannot apply to the speech, the perfect speech of Allah. This can happen to your speech and my speech, but not to the perfect speech of Allah. So this does not happen in the Quran. And of course, it's just about correcting a mistake. So we're not going to focus so much on that, unless there's a question on that. Yeah, so basically it's just a matter of correcting a mistake. Then we move on to an interesting bit about badal. So you can call this like a subtopic of badal. And this is called atful bayan or atf bayan. Now, what is atful bayan? Atful bayan is basically a word or a phrase or a fragment that behaves like a badal. It behaves very similar to a badal. In fact, it can be confused with a badal, and we're going to see how. So it's a word that behaves like a badal, but it actually doesn't replace. So it doesn't do the work of a badal. It doesn't replace. If it replaces, it cannot replace partially or wholly like we've seen. Rather, it actually gives more information to it. So if you remove the atful bayan, the sentence will be missing something. Okay? The sentence would be missing something. And this mostly happens with badal al-kull. So there's normally an overlap between badal al-kull and atful bayan. There's normally an overlap. So how do we know? How do we differentiate between atful bayan and badal al-kull? Because they work very similar. Like you could be saying something and you're just giving more information about it. You're not doing a total replacement. So it can easily be confused with each other. The thing you need to understand is that in badal al-kull, the sentence will be sound if the badal is not mentioned. Like if I remove the badal, if I just said سلمت على أخيك, I greeted your brother. سلمت على أخيك, I greeted your brother. It's sound. It's not missing anything. Like, you know what I just said. I said, I greeted your brother. It's very clear. Or if your brother is called Ahmed, and I said, سلمت على Ahmed, and you only have that one brother, there's no confusion, then you also know what I'm talking about. The sentence is complete, it's sound, it's not missing or lacking any information. But say you come from a family where you have 3 Ahmeds. So there's 3 Ahmeds. And then I say, سلمت على Ahmed. You'll be like, okay, which one? My brother, my uncle, or my dad probably is also called Ahmed. Like, which one are you talking about? So there's a bit of confusion, yeah? But if I said, سلمت على أخيك أحمد. Now everything is clear. So Ahmed provides extra information. Yeah, so that would be the difference between عطف البيان and بدل الكل. So let's look at some examples of عطف البيان. For example, if I say الخليفة علي كان رجل يخاف الله. الخليفة علي well, because it's fully flexible. كان رجل يخاف الله. The Khalifa Ali رضي الله عنه was a man that feared Allah, or was a God-fearing man. Yeah. If I just said Al-Khalifa كان رجل يخاف الله, what is the question in your mind? You'll be like, which Khalifa? There's so many of them. Harun al-Rashid, Abu Bakr, Umar. Like, who are you talking about? Umar ibn Abdul Aziz. Which one? There's so many Khalifas, right? But if I say Al-Khalifa to Ali, oh, then you're like, oh yeah, I know. Okay, you've given me all the information. Now I understand exactly who you're talking about. So you see, if you remove the Atful Bayan, there's something missing. The information is not complete. Same thing if I said, فتح الناصر صلاح الدين بيت المقدس. The conqueror, maybe, I don't know, the victor or the conqueror, Salahuddin conquered Baytul Maqdis, if I said like that. But if I omit it, if I omit Salahuddin, and I just said the conqueror conquered Baytul Maqdis, you'd be like, which one? Who? I mean, which time of history are you talking about? Is it a Muslim conqueror? What kind of conqueror is it? Yeah. So there's so many questions that you can ask, but the Atful Bayan comes in to elaborate, to give clarification to exactly who I'm talking about. Okay. Same thing if we look at the example, أرسل الله نبيه صالحا عليه السلام إلى قوم مجرمين. So if I omit Salih, so imagine we covered Salih here for a minute, and we just said أرسل الله نبيه عليه السلام إلى قوم مجرمين. The question in my mind would be like, okay, there's so many criminal nations. قوم مجرم is a criminal nation. I know Nuh, I know Hud, I know, Lut. There's quite a number of them, right? Which one are you talking about? Then you said Salih, and I'm like, oh, you're talking about Thamud. Okay, you're talking about the people of Salih. Yeah, قوم ثمود. Okay, now I understand. So you see, it gives extra information. Or if I say زرت العاصمة إسلامabad, I visited the capital city, Islamabad. If I just said زرت العاصمة, how many capital cities do you know? Like, it could be anywhere in the world, right? But the fact that I say Islamabad, then you know, oh, Pakistan. Okay, got it. Now we're talking. Okay, because maybe I'm Kenyan, you'll be assuming, oh, you're talking about the capital city of Kenya? No, I'm talking about something else. Then you understand. So this is basically Atful Bayan. Now here's the interesting bit. Sometimes it can actually be both Badal al-Kul and Atful Bayan. Sometimes you would see, like, grammarians are just confused. They're like, is it Atful Bayan? Is it Badal? Sometimes it can be both. If there's no conflict, if they both agree to be both, then it can be both. Yeah. So how? There's two ways in which you check this. Two ways. The first way is the badal way. So you do the replacement. Like we've been doing the replacement, because badal is all about replacement. So if I replace the first thing with the second thing, is the sentence correct? If it is correct, then fine, khalas. Yeah. So for example, we have the example here. حضر المعلم أحمد. If I say حضر أحمد, and the only teacher in the school is called Ahmed, then there's no problem. There's no grammatical conflict. There's no meaning conflict. There's no conflicts at all, because حضر Ahmed is the same as حضر المعلم. There's no conflict. So this one qualifies to be a badal. So this one qualifies to be a badal, because we can do the badal, we can do the replacement, the exchange can happen. Because the exchange can happen, then we say this passes the test. Now the other thing is, the other way is if we repeat the, in Arabic it's called the amil. What we mean by the amil is the thing that is doing some work. Yeah. I know it's strange, but let's just say we repeat the thing that comes before the mubdal min. So here, for example, we have hadara, which is the fi'l. Now the fi'l is the one that is actually doing the action, doing the work here. So because it's a thing that is doing the work, and the al-muallim is the outside doer of that, if we repeat it, will it make sense? So if I say حضر المعلم حضر أحمد, nothing wrong with that. Sounds correct. The teacher attended, Ahmed attended. Pretty sound, complete, no grammatical conflict, nothing is happening. So that sounds fine. Therefore, in this case, we can actually say it can be both. It can be badal or it can be atful bayan, because there's no conflict. Yeah, there's no conflict. As a rule, as a general rule, this is very important. As a general rule, if this is the only thing that you're going to remember, you'll probably understand the difference between badal al-kull and atf bayan. So as a general rule, all badal al-kull can be actually atf bayan. All badal al-kull can be atf bayan, but not all atf bayan can be badal al-kull. Okay, so this is a very important one. So when you see a badal al-kull, it can be atf bayan as well. But when you see atful bayan, doesn't mean it's going to be badal al-kull. I know it's a strange thing, and I didn't want to get into the details of that because it's a slightly advanced, not so advanced, but I mean, I didn't want to complicate this topic any further because I felt like for now, I think this is enough information. I didn't want to add more to that. I don't know if there are any questions. So for now, just know badal al-kull, atf bayan, they kind of go hand in hand. Okay, so let's look at some exercises from the Quran. If you want to participate as usual, just raise your hand and we can proceed. Great. So we have Fauzia. Okay, if anybody else wants to participate, let me know as well. So Fauzia, we'll start with you. So again, badal al-kull, we're going to, because we said, remember in the Quran, the mistake badal does not happen. So badal al-mubayyan does not happen. So we're only going to deal with badal al-kull, badal al-ba'd, badal al-ishtimal, and atf bayan. Okay, and remember we said if it's badal al-kull, then yeah, it can be atf bayan as well. All right. So Fawzia, the first one. يسألونك عن الشهر الحرام قتال فيه. What do you think? Where's our badal? What's our mubdal minhu? Are you muted? We can't hear you.
No, I'm not.
Okay. Oh.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. يسألونك عن الشهر الحرام. So, I think al-harami is badal al-kull of
Okay.
of shahr.
Okay. So let's look at this. Al-shahri al-harami. What do you think? What do you see that is very obvious about this too?
Both of them are proper, so it's actually mawsuf sifa.
There we go. So this whole thing. So this is one whole thing. Jar majroor.
Yeah.
Then this is the isim majroor, mawsuf sifa. So this whole bucket, this is one big bucket. Yeah.
So qitalin then.
There we go. So now that one big bucket is our mubdal minhu, which I'm going to color in red. And then qitalin fihi. Now this becomes our badal. But what kind of a badal is it? Now that's the question we ask ourselves. What kind of a badal is it? Now we're talking about Shahr al-Haram. This is a month, a holy month. Yeah.
Yes.
But then
and we can,
the badal. Go on.
Yeah, it's a sentence. So it's we can qitalin, we can kill in it. So I'm thinking we're talking about a part of the month. So maybe it's badal al-bad.
But is it a fraction? Is qital a fraction of the month?
Mm, I was
What is
thinking that it's an action that they can do in the month. It doesn't mean that they can do it the entire month. They can also do it in part of the month. So that's not clear.
So it's a concept. It's an
Talin
abstract
fihi.
idea. Yes.
Oh, it's an idea. So it will become badal al-ishtimal.
Exactly. Yeah, it's an idea. It's not a fraction of the month, so you cannot cut up the month and say, okay, now this part of the month is actually fighting, right? You can't do that. You can say that you can cut up the month and you have days. If it was days, then that would be badal al-ba'd, because you can actually cut up the month and have days, or you can have seconds. You can basically, you can cut it up into fractions and have a portion of it. But because fighting is just an abstract idea, like you cannot fit it into a month and say, okay, now this is a portion of the month. No, it's just an abstract idea. It furthers the information. So now this becomes badal al-ishtimal. Okay. I hope now that has become a bit clearer.
Much clearer, much clearer. Thank you, Jazakallah.
Okay, beautiful. Okay, we have, I think, more people. We have Anab. You can take the next one. You're muted. You can unmute yourself. Anab, you're still muted. Okay. We'll come back to you when your mic is working, because we don't know what's happening there. So Fawzia, it's just me and you. We'll keep going until somebody else manages to join us. Oh, okay. So Anab left. Dr. Sultana, I don't know if you wanted to say something.
Yeah. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Actually, كيل نسفا بالناسية ناسية كاذبة خاطئة. So I think so. ناسية is the مبدل منه, and ناسية كاذبة خاطئة should be
the badal.
the badal.
Yes. But what kind of a badal? That's the golden question. Yeah.
نسفا بالناسية. So this should
replacing
be the kull.
Yes, because it's replacing it fully. Like
Kull,
you can actually say لنسفعا بناسية كاذبة خاطئة. You can actually just take the whole thing and put it in there. But the important thing you need to realize, again, like we said, you see the mubdal minhu, the thing being replaced, is proper, but the badal is nakira. That can happen. No problem. Okay. It's not like mawsuf sifa where all the 4 properties have to match. No, this is it's allowed. Okay, back to you, Fawzia. So this is gonna be a tricky one, so you need some brain juices a little bit. Probably try and translate it so that you can get the meaning, and the meaning will guide you into what the badal or the mubdal minhu is.
And for Allah to the people, Hajjul Bayt, the people go to Hajjul Bayt for Allah from istitat is from what they have.
So istata'a is to be able. So from those who are able.
From those who are able to do it. Sabilan. from those who are able to do it. So we're talking about an-nas.
Ah, exactly. So it's talking about an-nas. So what would be
So
an-nas?
al-nasi would be the mubdil minhu,
Beautiful. Exactly.
and min man istata'a man istata'a alayhi sabilan would be the badal,
Exactly.
and it looks like the badal al-kull.
But it's man istata'a.
From
not,
sorry. Yeah, from those who are able. So it's a part of a whole. Badal al-kull. Oh, badal al-ba'd.
Yes, exactly. So it's not everyone, just those of the people that are able. Yeah.
And the ayat is with the alayhi. Is that the ayat?
Yes. No, the aid is in man.
No.
Sorry, the
Man.
inside
Okay.
dua.
From those who are able. Okay.
Yes.
Those who are able.
Yeah. So they actually, what is missing here is basically man istata'a minhum. So that minhum is understood. That will be
Okay.
where the aid is. Yeah. Okay. Sultana, you want to try the next one?
जी اصبر على ما يقولون واذكر عبدنا داود ذا الأيدي إنه أواب اصبر على ما يقول واذكر عبدنا داود. तो داود is مبدل منه.
So there's عبدنا
داود. So إنه أواب will be the بدل.
So إنه أواب is a new sentence.
अच्छा, तो in this, okay. اصبر على ما يقولون واذكر عبدنا داود. So عبدنا will be مبدل منه.
Yes.
And داود will be the بدل.
Exactly. So you can see it's badal al-kull, and it's also like atuf bayan. Like remember we said badal al-kull and atuf bayan. If you see a badal al-kull, most likely it's also atuf bayan. But in this case also
both.
you can actually see, yes.
Yeah,
you can actually see. Because if Allah said wadhkur abdana dhal aidi, you'll be like, which slave of Allah is he talking about? But the fact that Allah said Dawood, now you know exactly who Allah is talking about. Yeah. So this is
okay.
cool.
So
and
this
who
zamir innahu, isn't it going back to Dawood?
Yes,
I
it's
thought
going
in
back
that
to Dawood. Yeah.
Okay, but we have to see within before the ayah ends. We have to find it before this itself.
With the dhamir, it only comes in two cases. It only comes in badal al-ba'd and badal al-ishtimal. In badal al-kull, you will not find it.
Okay. Got it.
So only in the portion or in al-ishtimal, that's where you'd find it. But of course, this who goes back to Dawood. Like the pronoun always goes back to something that came before it, most of the time, like 99.9%, it goes back to what came before.
Exactly.
Anab, I don't know if you fixed your microphone. Can you be able to participate right now? Oh wow. Yeah, you're really breaking.
Anab is in her native, I think so. That's the reason she's not able to.
She's in?
Her native, home place.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, she's gone there. She has registered.
Okay. Oh wow. The network is really bad, I think. Anab, we can hear you properly. So maybe try to move around and see if it gets better. But meanwhile, I think. Okay. Okay, Fawzia, I think you can do. You can try.
Yeah. I see. I see a musharan alay. I see a ism ishara.
Yes.
So
Uh-huh.
you said you kind of gave it away.
Yes, I did.
So al-ayyam would be the badal.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, you said the proper would be the badal, right? Yeah.
Yes, the proper is going to be the badal.
And tilka would be the mubdal minhu.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's the thing with ismul ishara and musharun ilayh. So you can actually say wal ayyamu nudawiluha, and days we change them. And you can also say watilka nudawiluha, and they we change them, like the days we change them. So you can see how badal. And of course, what kind of badal would that be?
Kul.
Cool,
Yes.
yeah.
Badal al-kull. Exactly.
But,
All right.
right now you translated this as they, we changed them,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
but it wasn't clear what they is.
Yeah, but I'm pointing to something. When I say they,
Oh,
I'm
pointing,
obviously
right?
pointing
Okay,
to
got it.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Then Dr. Sultana, you can try this next one.
जी كأنها كوكب دري يوقد من شجرة مباركة زيتونة لا شرقية ولا غربية
Oh, this
كأنها
is a tricky one. I
كوكب
should point out. But let's see.
كوكب
So let's go step by step. So كأنها. So this is أن. It's اسم. So that's our مبتدا. كوكب would be a خبر. دري,
خبر
you can see it matches موصوف صفة. And
صفة
then you have جملة نكرة بعدها الجملة. So this is another صفة.
صفة هي
Yes. So يوقد من شجرة مباركة.
مباركة.
Again, so this whole thing is a صفة to كوكب. Yeah. So دري is صفة number 1. This whole sentence is صفة number 2. And then you have زيتونة. And you're like, what is happening with زيتونة? What is this? So when you have questions like that, that's when you kind of like start thinking outside the box. Could it be badal? Could it be tawkid? Could it be one of these other things? Yeah, that is not a main part of the sentence.
So شجرة will be the mubdal minhu and zaytunatin will be the badal
Exactly.
for this.
Yes. So basically, the idea is يوقد من زيتونة. Zaytun is olives, like
Olive.
pressed from olives. So yeah. So it's just the shajara is he talking about an olive? Which kind of tree is he talking about? An olive tree. So shajaratin mubarakatin, a blessed tree.
Blessed tree.
Zaytunatin,
Zaytun.
an olive tree. Yeah, that's the kind of tree that we're talking about here. So it gives more information about the shajara. So of course, it's going to be a badal al-kul. Or of course, we said like if it's badal al-kul, most likely it's also ataf bayan. Okay, was that clear? I know that one was a hard one to spot. Some of them are they just pop in your face. Some of them are slightly hidden. You have to really go through it and see, okay, where do the chains, the chain end? Where does the bucket end? Then you kind of figure it out. Yeah. So yeah, let's try the next one.
إن للمتقين مفازا حدائق وعنابا. So I think إن المتقين is the مبدل من no حدائق وعنابا. مفازا is the مبدل منه.
Yes.
And حدائق وعنابا is the badal.
Exactly. And this, by the way, happens a lot in the Quran. You would find that the ayah ends with a mubdal minhu and the next ayah begins with a badal. This kind of happens a lot. So this is actually the end of the first ayah. Inna lil muttaqina mafaza. The ayah ends. حدائق وأعنابا. So if you were just doing the i'rab without looking at the entire sentence, the entire surah, you'd be like, okay, so why is this nakira? Why doesn't it have al? What's going on? It's because it's going back to mafazan. What is success? So Allah is saying, certainly for the muttaqeen is success. What is success? Hadaiq, gardens, wa a'naba. Anab, you should have done this because your name is here. And grapes. Yeah? So hadaiqa wa a'naba. Exactly. So that's kind of like how, and of course, this is again another badal al-kul, which is one of the main badals that happens also in the Quran. Badal al-kul. Badal al-ba'd also happens quite a bit, but badal al-ishtimal rarely happens. So you can actually spot it once or in cases.
Sister Ilham, can I ask a question, please, here?
Yes, please.
Here, mafazan hadaiqa wa a'naban, cannot it be taken as like, it's a portion of the mafaz, maybe it's not the full mafaz?
If you look at it, maybe you look at it as badal al-ishtimal, not badal al-ba'd. But most likely, it's atuf bayan. Most likely.
Okay.
Because atuf bayan will give extra information about it. Like in the Quran, when Allah talks about something, He likes to explain what He means. Like, so, for example, mafaz is very ambiguous. Yeah. When Allah says just success, like what does He mean by success? And success in one part of the ayah could be different from success in another part of the Quran, for example. So in this particular surah, Allah is saying the success that I'm talking about is actually gardens and grapes. Yeah. So yeah, it could be ataf bayan, like extra clarification on mafaz.
Okay.
Sorry, quick question. Sorry, go ahead, Samra.
Okay, I was just looking at it as badal. There are voices actually in my background. I'm sorry about that. But I was looking at it because hadaiqa, and then there's a waw, which is harf ataf. Then anaban, we can simply say that it is ma'tuf on hadaiq.
Yes.
So basically, we have to just see hadaiq. So
Yeah.
if we see in this way, then it can be more like a badal ishtimal of mafaz. Because this I always confuses me. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, in that sense,
Maybe.
Because hadaiq is actually like it's not an abstract idea. Yeah. It's not. I don't know. I'm not 100%
But
sure.
because mafaz in itself is abstract.
Yeah. I'm not 100% sure.
I'm always stuck on this. Yes, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I can see how it is ataf bayan, which is why I'm saying badal al-kul, because if it's ataf bayan, most likely it's also badal al-kul. Not always, but most likely. But I don't know if it can also be badal al-ishtimal. In any case, it's a badal. Whether it's ishtimal or kul or it's a badal.
Yes. Inshallah, we'll look up into it. Inshallah.
Yeah, I will try and research more and find out. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can try one or two, but if it is okay with you, because they're background voices, that's why I didn't open my mic actually previously.
Yeah, you can try this next one.
Okay. Beta, lower your voices, please. Okay. Amattakum bima ta'lamun. Amattakum bi an'amin wa banin.
Yes.
Okay, it's amattakum. The first one is the mubdil minhu, and then the second amattakum is the badal al kul. Be an of the first one.
Yes. So you can see that this one we are actually replacing an entire sentence. Like previously we've been doing like maybe mawsul sifa or just a single ism, but here we're replacing an entire sentence. Yeah.
Yes.
Good.
Can I ask a question here, Ilham?
Yes, please.
When we look it up in the tafsir app, will it say ataf bayan or will it say badal? And will it give us the distinction?
Sometimes it does. Like if specifically it's atuf bayan and it's not badal, it would just say specifically atuf bayan. But if it's
Okay.
most likely there's that overlap, most of the time they'll just say badal. Or they can actually say badal or atuf bayan. Like, yeah, they would give you that distinction depending. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. That can happen.
Do they tell us it's badal al-kul or badal al-ba'd or badal al-ishtimal?
They do for badal al-ishtimal and badal al-ba'd. They would do that sometimes. Badal
Otherwise, it's
al-kul,
badal al-kul.
I rarely see it. They just say badal because that's the main one. Badal al-kul is the main
Okay.
one. So sometimes they just don't say it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, thank you.
Okay. I don't know who was doing next. So we have two more. I think Fawzia, it was you? Or was it?
No, it was Shiraz.
Saladu.
Sultan.
وإذ قال إبراهيم لأبيه آزر. So لأبيه is مبدل منه. آزر is badal, and it is badal al-kul, the whole.
Yes. Yeah. Praising the whole because we know his name is Azar. Although some people say that's not his name, but whatever that discussion, this is badal al-kul. So replacing totally.
وقولهم إن شلا.
Yeah, you can go. You can finish off.
وقولهم إنا قتلنا المسيح عيسى ابن مريم رسول الله. So قتلنا المسيح is مبدل منه.
Yes.
عيسى ابن مريم رسول الله is the badal.
Yeah, so the whole thing, or you can just say like Rasulullahi would
رسول
be
الله.
the sifa of Isa. Okay.
And it is badal al-kul.
Yes. Or it could be out of bayan as well. So that one applies there, that one applies there, basically. Yeah.
Both.
So, and that's badal, guys. We are pretty much done with badal. Okay. So
Can we have two badals one after the other? Like Isa ibn Maryam would be one badal and then Rasulullah would be another one?
I don't know if that's possible, but in this case, Rasul is actually a description. So this would be most of sifa.
Yeah.
Because you can see that it's proper. So it goes back to al-Masih. And also Isa is also proper, but it's describing Isa. No, it doesn't go to Masih. It goes back to Isa, sorry. So it's describing Isa. The messenger
So Rasulullah would be the badal of Isa salam, and Isa would be the badal of Masih.
I don't know if Rasulullah can be classified as a badal because it's a sifa to Isa.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
In this case, it's a sifa. I don't know that you can have badal 1, badal 2, badal 3. From what I've seen, there's always just one badal. But I would check if that's possible. But from what I know, that Rasulullah here is a sifa to Isa. Like it's describing, like you can't totally replace it. If you replace وقولهم إنا قتلنا المسيح رسول الله, I don't know that if that works though. I don't know that you can actually omit Isa in that case. It's a tricky one.
No, it wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah, exactly.
It still needs clarification. Which messenger of Allah?
Yeah.
I think Sister Ilham, here, yes, badals are possible one after the other. We can see Rasulullah is, you're right, that's Safa. But you know, Al-Masih is Mubdil Minhu, then Isa is badal number 1, and then Ibn Maryam is badal actually number 2. Or you can say it is Ataf Bayan also. So it's basically two badals having back to back, both are going to Al-Masih. Or you can say that Isa. Yes, it can be. Yes, that's also possible. That Ibn Maryam is Sifa. But you know, it can also be Ataf Bayan because Isa Ibn Maryam is usually taken as Ataf Bayan also. Because it's clarifying Isa.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah. So when you have badal al-kull, most likely atif bayan is like a given. But I will confirm. I'm not so sure if you can have badal 1, badal 2. That one I need to confirm that. Not 100% sure on that one.
Okay.
Maybe it's possible. Maybe it's possible. Because if there's the thing I'm realizing with grammatical rules is if there's no clash, there's no contradiction, then it can be like a number of things. Like we just said, if there's no clash between atuf bayan and badal al-kull, it can be both. So maybe it is. Maybe you can also say it's badal 1 and badal 2, sifa 1 and sifa 2. Works.
We can also see, you know, two badals back to back sometimes when you know, they are names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
But that's khabar
You
1,
know?
khabar 2.
But this it's taken two ways. Khabar 1 and khabar 2. Sometimes it's also
Badal.
taken as badal.
Okay.
Badal.
Yeah, that's possible. I normally prefer the khabar, but anyway, let's not get into that. Okay. Yeah, so that's, yeah, so I think, yeah, it can happen. True. In that case. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, good observation and good reminder for that. So depending on how you look at it, and if the rules don't contradict, then it's possible. That's the whole idea. I don't know if there are any other questions to badal. Oh, we've gone so much over time. Didn't even realize. Subhanallah. I'm sorry, guys. We should probably end if there's no any other questions. I hope the whole concept of badal has been clarified.
Jazakallah khairan.
وإياكم جزاكم الله خيرا. I think we can end there.
Jazakallah khairan kaseeran.
وإياكم جزاكم الله خيرا. سبحان
Sister,
الله.
it's every Saturday and Sunday we have the same time? It's 6?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Today again it
But
was my confusion. I thought afternoon class is not there. So today Sunday the whole day we don't have the class.
no,
Mid
so
of the day I got the Then
so
Anup, she
Friday,
called me in the center.
yeah. So Friday we have the storytelling class at the same time. Then Saturday, Sunday we have grammar and revision.
Okay, 6:30 from Friday to Sunday we have at the same time. Plus
Yes.
the afternoon class was somewhere around 2:30. IMSA?
Yeah. On Friday.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. But we maybe need to discuss the class timings, because I know there's Maghrib is being affected. So maybe we can discuss that in the group and decide if we can maybe push it in, I don't know, 10 minutes, 15, 20, whatever you guys feel is comfortable. We can do that, inshallah, in the group. Okay. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. I'm going to stop the recording now.